Hey, I'm Tommy Ellison. I was cleaning out some boxes of some junk, the quarantine at home thing going on here, and I found one of these. Now, some of you may not recognize this if you're young, but there was a time when photographs were not all digital. We actually made photographs using film, and the film used to come in these 35 millimeter canisters, the little cartridges, and we would load the film into the cameras, make the pictures. We would then put them back in the canisters, cap them, and take them to the film processor, and they would prepare the prints or the slides, depending on how we were shooting the film. But it reminded me, when I found these, of one evening, I think it was a Saturday night, where I went to see the amazing Kreskin at Joe Namath's restaurant. Real blast from the past, huh? Anyway, amazing Kreskin, he was a television personality at the time on national television, and he was touring the country doing the nightclubs, and he did a few experiments using mentalism or magic of the mind. And he did an experiment where he borrowed a ring, had it placed into the canister, capped, and then two other empty canisters were brought into play, and he would blindfold himself, have someone mix the canisters up so that they nor he would know the contents or the location of the ring. And then he would try to, without touching the canisters, discern, reading the aura that the ring gave off, as to which canister actually contained the lady's ring. And of course, he was successful. Now, that was just a warm-up. His closer that night was he was taken from the room. Someone was to plant the sealed envelope that contained his check, his compensation for the evening, and hide that somewhere in the room. And so at that point in time, the gentleman brought it over and gave it to me. I don't know why. I was just a spectator, maybe just an honest face, who knows. But he gave it to me to hide, which I did. And then Kreskin was brought back into the room, and he began to walk around the room, seeing if he could discern who might have that check. Well, I actually kind of wanted to know what that check was made out for, because at the time I was dabbling in magic and, trying to get $25 for a kid's birthday party. And I knew this guy was probably making the big bucks, but I didn't. But eventually he walked over to where I was, passed me a couple of times, and kept coming back to my part of the room. And then finally he looked at me in the eye and he said, "I believe you have my check." And it was really amazing. I thought he was a mind reader. I found out better later. But I thought we'd try an experiment tonight to see if you might allow me to do an experiment with the film canisters. No blindfold, but I hope you enjoy this. Okay, as mentioned earlier, I have 3 canisters that we're going to be using today. And in keeping with what I had said earlier, the film canisters are opaque. And in each side of these film canisters, I have placed one die. Blue, red, white, see if you're awake, and red. Now we shall try an experiment. You'll notice that if I take a die and I place it in the film canister and I shake it up, we'll get on the face of that die a random number. In this case, 3. I shake it again. I should get another number, 6. We'll do it one more time, just to prove that they are turning inside of the canister. And this time we have a 1. Now, someone might say to themselves, "Well, Tommy, you are touching the die. Perhaps you're able to feel exactly what the number would be on the bottom of the die and know what the number on top would be." So, to kind of circumvent that thought process, I brought along a playing card, which I shall place underneath the canister so that once I shake it, I will no longer touch that die at all. There's the blue. The white. And lastly, the red. Now let's recap quickly. We've placed one die in each canister, we've shaken them up, we've done it in a way that I cannot touch the die by use of the playing card. So now that we have the 3 canisters with 3 random numbers rolled underneath each one, I shall try to discern the number on each one of those die. The color was not important, we're strictly looking for the number. And I will having 3, it's a little confusing to me sometimes because I'm getting a little crosstalk, but I think this was the red die and I should be looking at the number 3 if I were to lift the canister. And there indeed is the number 3. I'll try it again with the remaining 2. I seem to be getting more crosstalk when I have both hands, so I'll just use one hand. The white die, the number on top of the white die would be the number 5. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the number 5. And last but not least, we have our final canister, our final die, and having a little trouble with it, but I believe I have picked up on the number 5 being on the face of this die. Do you believe it? We shall see. The number 6. Number 6. Let's try this again. One more time. We shake it up. Oddly enough, I'm getting the number 6. The number 6 again. Now, just so you might think that there's something unusual about this die, I only roll one number. I'll do it for a 3rd time. We'll remove the card. I'm not touching the die. And here we are. Now I've got the number 1. The number 1. And there it is. I almost had a miss. You know, the worst thing about performing for a virtual audience is I cannot hear the spontaneous applause that I know is coming back at me from the audience. But so much for social distancing. I hope you enjoy your time at home, and be sure and stay safe. Check back often. We'll be doing some more magic and mentalism in a later date. Thank you.